Tuesday Slide to me may have been a fail for him, even if things weren't going on, just because so obvious.
You think it's a fail? I think it's a fail.
I'm just saying for me, it doesn't do anything. It'll be nice maybe one day you'll hear it and you go, oh, this was cool. But relative to like a Drake Smidash, Tuesday Slide was what, 2 weeks into quarantine it came out?
Yeah.
It's been 2.5 months. Although Drake songs have built slower than that before. There's been times when Drake songs have been out like 3-4 months and then start to go.
Yo, like besides God's Plan, like he doesn't have any conscience like movement type songs. Like,
and God's Plan is confusing to follow from that perspective too.
So you don't have that type of song, of music at all. Uplifting.
No, his upliftment is just like, ladies, yo, you're single now, get it popping.
I'll fly you over my jet.
Yeah. You're such a good girl. You deserve to come be with me on the OVO plane, you know? Shawnee has paused you, YouTube. That when you see that visual of him just stuck in the same place, that's saying he doesn't care.
Or the Heisman. He gives like the Shawnee Heisman.
It's every time that's what it looks like.
YouTube, what's popping, yo?
and then I was gonna say the next thing you're gonna do is show up and go, YouTube, what's popping?
YouTube, popping. YouTube.
That's every time. Yo, YouTube, what's popping?
Yo, listen, you see this?
Protein?
Oh, then he's gonna talk about his nuts again. Man, you know what? Forget it, Shawnee.
Talk about my nuts. Listen,
the nut trail.
What you have for breakfast? This is peanuts. This is almonds. This is walnuts.
It's nut culture. It's the nut culture.
By the way, I just went to our YouTube channel. I don't think we're even on YouTube.
Oh, damn it.
This is live here.
You got to go to the thing.
Yeah,
the link.
We are?
Laura, are we sharing your link? Is that what
I see it. Yes. Shout out to Houston.
Laura, we're sharing this, right?
Houston.
You don't
I like Houston. Houston's a lovely town.
All I see is Yvonne Orgy, guys. I don't see this. That's me.
I sent you the link in your text as well.
I know, but before, when you would go to Hot 97's YouTube page, the live one would be at the top.
Yeah, it should be there.
No?
You got 200 people in the room.
Oh, Queens in the house. Corona.
Yeah, they're not going to find it.
Queens, what up?
Corona, Queens.
Queens, what up? YouTube, don't always be eating
there we
pancakes
go. Now I found it. But not
for
on
breakfast with tons of syrup and like all of this like cakes and Twinkies.
Laura,
and cookies.
this graphic where it says day 021.
Breakfast.
Huh?
You see that graphic?
Yeah.
What's that for? You want us to post that?
No, that's.
Or is that just a screenshot of?
No.
Shawnee doesn't think you should have donuts and pancakes. He just thinks you should have a bag of peanut M&Ms and call it a day.
Oh, you know what that is?
I don't do that. It's all
like,
natural.
Days about isolation.
Yeah.
All natural.
Yo, I found
or the ones that cost
the
$1
date
at
is
the
right
machine
below
at
it.
the.
It's this Thursday, 6/11.
Yeah, I'm gonna just use the one still shot of you.
Okay, that's fine.
I found a dope recipe for banana oatmeal pancakes. It's like 2 points.
It's gonna just be like it's
for like
points of the census.
It maps out like 4, and it's
How can there be
Just eat fruit, yo?
How can there be banana pancakes that are only 2 points for 4?
Well, I'm just what I entered into the app is like it came out to 4 points. I mean, not 4 points, 4 individual, but like they're small, and then
4 little,
and then for 2 points. I was like, oh, it's not bad.
Banana pancakes. You can make just bananas. I think it's like bananas.
Yo, pancakes.
Because then you have the cup of you only use a cup of oats,
like 3,
and that's most of the points, and then one.
Trying to finesse the system, bro.
You know what I'm saying? And one small teaspoon of vanilla extract.
Just eat with the fruits and veggies, man. Pancakes is fried batter with syrup.
It's not fried. It doesn't have to be fried.
Not fried.
How you make
Delicious,
pancakes?
but look, I got cherry. Go with the cherry.
Best sign I've seen yet.
You're
That's
frying.
not frying it.
No,
Yeah,
all
it is.
lives
It's just
matter,
not
then
deep
you should
fried.
be mad as fuck about this too.
You're frying the batter.
So wait.
There's no batter.
Well, yeah, there is batter, John. That's what pancakes are.
No, I'm saying you're only using eggs, banana, oats, and vanilla extract.
Right, that's not
Oats.
bad.
You turn it into
But
a batter.
That is turned into a batter. It's just not a fattening batter.
Right.
Right.
So
Not flour. It's not
Mhm.
flour.
yeah, there's no flour.
Pancakes are fried. That's fried if you just drop that on a pan.
No, I put the Virgin olive oil spray.
Virgil?
Virgil.
50?
Virgil. The Virgil olive oil
It's the
spray.
olive oil spray.
Yeah, and then you cook it, but you make them like silver dollar ones. They're small. They're not
Johnny,
big.
if it's fried with no oil, if he's just using spray, you can't really call that fried.
Yeah.
That's frying.
But if there's no oil, it doesn't really matter what you call
So
it.
what do you call it? Saute, Shawnee?
Yeah, what's
Ryan?
what's
You
saute?
you sauteing the batter?
But what
You
is it?
What about pan sneer?
Yo, he sautés the batter for his breakfast.
But John, are you using oil or just spray?
No, the spray. The
Yeah.
spray.
Yo,
Oh, here we go. Here we
I'll
go.
be using spray.
What is it called when you put the batter on the pan?
with a mask on. With a mask on. T-Bro in the morning, beautiful Laura Styles. You got Rosenberg. Police reform is coming fast. At the state level, New York State. Now, the federal level, we saw Schumer and Pelosi in kente cloth with the Black Caucus.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
You guys, leave the props and the little cultural what's that called?
Appropriation.
Appropriation.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but it's almost like they're just placating.
Yeah, don't do it.
We don't need that, man. Get up there and do your job, bro.
Convict somebody.
Put police in jail that are acting up. How about that? But on a federal level, they have some legislation that is supposed to be rolling out. I got a text from Hakeem Jeffries' team. He was up there talking yesterday. And they're working on a bunch of things. But once again, these are proposals. It's what they would like to get done. And they say it's going to unanimously at the federal level run through the House and pass the House, but then you're going to run into the Senate. And you're going to have individuals like Rand Paul from Kentucky, who had a problem with the anti-lynching bill and lynching becoming a hate crime.
Imagine that.
Lynching. You can still lynch somebody, a black person in America, and it will not be associated with a hate crime.
It's insane.
I got to ask Kamala about that. That's
Insane.
Well, she's worked on the bill with Cory Booker, so she's going to have a lot to say about that.
Yeah, she was frying him up.
On the state level, they're working on bills that create a special investigation within the Attorney General's office to investigate police. So instead of these investigations, when you say they're having an internal investigation about a police killing or police misconduct, it'll now move to the Attorney General's office, which is Tish James. That's one of the proposals that they're supposed to pass at the state level this week, and Cuomo wants that done. Matter of fact, I think we have some audio from Cuomo as well on these sort of things while you look for that. They have another act that's going to require law enforcement officers or peace officers who discharge his or her weapon under circumstances where a person could be struck by a bullet to immediately report the incident. Who knew they didn't have to report that already? I didn't. There's also a new bill that provides a right to record police officers in certain circumstances and provides for civil remedies for failure to adhere to such right.
What are these certain circumstances?
I don't know, but these are state level. So each city could also have different ordinances.
Gotcha.
So this is at the New York state level. They're going to create a law enforcement misconduct investigative office. They're going to require medical attention in certain cases for persons under arrest. Why wouldn't they do that already?
Right.
They want to establish that strangulation is a crime, and it's going to be called aggravated strangulation that a cop could be charged with. They also want to establish a civil remedy for non-emergency incidents involving a member of the protected class. I don't know what the hell that is. I got questions. Who are the protected class?
Great question. I don't even understand.
I did not know the New York State Division of Police did not wear body cameras. They're going to require the use of body-worn cameras for officers of New York State Division of Police. They want to enact something that prohibits law enforcement officers from using racial and ethnic profiling. And they want to repeal Section 50A of the Civil Rights Law. We've been talking about 50A here on the program.
Yeah, Cuomo was tweeting about it. It's supposed to go down this week too, right?
Yep. This will provide additional standards for disclosure of certain information under the Freedom of Information Law. And that'll be able so we can access and see disciplinary actions and misbehavior from police. They want to make sure they do it right so that people can't see police officers' house and personal information. We don't want your address.
That's fine.
We just want you up out of here. That's really
Isn't there a Amy Cooper law, a Karen law?
I hear there's an Amy Cooper law. I don't know if that's what it's going to be called, but yeah, where calling 911 is a crime officially for racial, when you use racial purposes to call 911. But you know people gonna work around it.
Of course.
You know people gonna still
just the same way with the proposed racial profiling and all of that.
Yeah,
I wonder what's gonna happen. You get hit with a fine? Like, what is it?
So we'll see. Once again, these are all proposals. Here's what Cuomo had to say about it.
In the bills, and I will sign them as soon as they're passed.
So he wants that this week. That's what Cuomo said. Now we got to remember with Cuomo, while he's done a great job during COVID-19.
Oh, please go ahead.
Cuomo has worked to impede progress multiple times at the state level. Many times when it came to police reform, when it came to bail reform, when it came to raise the age, when it came to a lot of things. But now, and this is key for everybody to understand and learn, now that there is a focused movement, an international movement, all of these people that want to keep their jobs and want to make sure that their historical record falls in line with where the cultural momentum is.
Right. The right side of history.
Right? They are on the page also. Right. So we got to keep the heat on.
Because if the heat goes off and goes the other direction, they'll go the other direction.
They'll go with whoever's making donations, whoever's showing up to their private dinners, whoever's making sure that their kids get a job on the other side, whoever's cutting deals and this and that and whoop-de-wham.
There are people that are legitimate allies who have wanted things and have talked about it prior, and then there are people who now are just getting on board. You need all those people. But you're right. If you don't keep the foot on the neck of the people who are now just doing it in the moment, they're not going to stay in this moment.
That's what I want to talk to Kamala Harris about. We're going to have her on shortly. I want to talk to Kamala Harris about that. She was an attorney general of a state. She's been at the Senate level. At the Senate level, we've been seeing her do some work. When she was attorney general, people say things were different. She locked a lot of brothers up. The drug laws obviously were different, so she was technically doing her job. But I want to hear what reform she pushed for while she was basically able to prosecute for the state of California, because there's a lot of people who took issue with her.
And there's a theme that's come up in this election, though, with both Kamala and the 94 crime bill, which is to be seen as, quote, hard on crime means you were anti-black. Is that true? You know what I'm saying? Is it possible that she was hard on crime and it's not because she was in any way not looking out for the interests of black people?
What you have to remember is the laws, the culture, the system is anti-black. Right. So that's why these movements are so diametrically opposed to what the system already is. So even a hashtag like defund the police, the reason it's that drastic is because the system is already pulled in a completely different direction. So You have to oppose it completely to
just
even
to even get it halfway. Right, exactly. I get that, but I just sometimes feel, sometimes in Kamala's case, I feel that she's gotten a rap for being a certain way because she was an attorney general as part of this system. But what options did she have?
She chose a different profession. That's the same thing we telling the police. It's a hard position. You got to choose what you want. That's right with your spirit. Or you choosing
but then
money
you can't
over
do
morals.
anything. But then she couldn't have done anything. Then she couldn't have done any positive things as an attorney general.
Well, and I think that's where a lot of people start when they start down the path of being a lawyer in law, a defense attorney, a prosecutor, because they do want to. I do believe people honestly want to make change.
Well, and if you go
if you get in the system and you're trying to keep your job and you end up, and this is what we just talked about with now looking at Cuomo and us saying, oh, okay, Cuomo, you saying the right things. But we remember you last year and the year before that. And how long has he been governor?
For a minute
13
now.
years or something? Yeah. 3 terms. This is his 3rd term, right?
Is it?
Yes. This is his 3rd term, man.
Guys, but people who are there's people who are now paying attention now that never paid attention before. And I've seen them, people praising Cuomo. They love Cuomo. Or like
although it drives me crazy
of all the positive things he's saying, yet they don't know anything about him.
Look, we fall for it too. I ain't gonna lie. There's times I'm like, okay, Cuomo, get him. And I'm like, wait a minute, damn it. You almost had me.
I don't know.
Right.
It's been a lot hard. It's been a lot harder for me to come around on Cuomo.
You know, and I respect that. But we all get to dance. Look, they threw the kente cloth on yesterday. They might as well have brought out African drummers and went for the whole meal.
But by the way, that's the equivalent. It would be like you see the kente cloth and go, you know what? I really do like Chuck Schumer. Look at him in that kente cloth.
By the way,
we have a memory, and we know what Chuck Schumer's been a middle of the road kind of meh Democrat for a long time.
Well, and I will say, Rosenberg, we don't have a memory.
No.
As a society, our memory is trash.
Man, people forget.
Speaking about memory being trash, Cuomo's been governor since 2011.
11. That's what I was looking up right now.
That's crazy.
2011, Cuomo's been governor.
They say you good as your last song. Last week, he was like, I'm with the protesters. I was like, my G. I'm rocking with the guard.
Cuomo the God.
What he did before that, I don't
remember, but he with the protesters
I'm with
now.
the protesters.
And it always momentum, because once COVID got crazy and he started doing his daily press conferences, people fell in love with his tone.
And they love the back and forth with his brother too.
But think about that.
Now, guys, while we're being fair, Trump does the same thing for his audience.
But that's exactly the problem.
He does the same thing for his audience, right? He says one thing and then goes to a press conference and says a completely other thing, and people are like, "Oh, well, wait, but damn." And so, a lot of us, this is what we're tired of. The song and dance, the mixed signals, the mixed messages, right? And a lot of it comes down to accountability and us being able to hold these politicians accountable to their words. We have to be clear that a lot of the things that we see on the federal level, a lot of things that we see on the state level, these are proposals. That does not mean they're actually going to get done unless us as the people stay active and stay on these politicians' head. And on that note, staying on these politicians, we have Senator Kamala Harris on the program.
Hey,
Kamala.
Hey, everybody.
How are you? We're doing well.
Good.
Thanks for joining us as your morning starts off. We got to get right into it.
Okay.
Why was y'all wearing kente cloth yesterday? No, we don't need y'all in kente cloth. But in all fairness, the Black Caucus, when people gather with the Black Caucus, oftentimes there's been kente cloth being worn.
Yeah.
Is that why it happened again yesterday?
Well, because to your point, I am a proud member of the Congressional Black Caucus, as is my brother Cory Booker and the members on the House side. And it was we, the CBC, that introduced a package of bills yesterday that are about police accountability and making sure there's consequence for those who break the rules and break the law. And so in solidarity and in unity, we wore our kente cloths and presented our bill.
Now, for me, the way as intense as things are right now,
Mhm.
I don't need kente cloth. It didn't make me
Yeah,
feel
I
better.
understand.
It actually pissed me off.
Seeing Chuck Schumer and a kente cloth did that for you?
It just felt like, man, don't song and dance me right now. Like this, we're
Yeah.
in the streets out here.
Yeah.
And too often we get smoke blown up our ass, Kamala.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
And the
Mhm.
song and dance happens at the federal level and
Yeah.
nothing actually gets done. Just like with the lynching bill you've been working on for how long?
2 years.
2 years.
Well,
And
I first dropped it in 2018.
How
So that's
frustrating
more
is
than
that? And how frustrating is it that you're still sitting there fighting, and I appreciate you fighting with Rand Paul about lynching being a hate crime in 2020?
I mean, look, guys, here's the thing. I was born knowing we had to fight. So yeah, I get exhausted sometimes. It's tiring sometimes, but not to the point where I'm gonna stop fighting. And look, to your point, in this year of our Lord 2020, we still have to fight over passing a federal law that says lynching is a crime. So that really, for me, is the interpretation of that situation, and that I had to go off on him on the Senate floor the other day as the only Black woman in the United States Senate. It's a statement about how we still have so much more to get done, and we're gonna have to just stay and keep marching and keep shouting. And but this package of bills that we just dropped, I really do believe if we can get the kind of bipartisan support we'll need, will really make a difference. It will not be enough. And we can talk about that, but it is very specific. It's very specific about police accountability. It's about saying we need to change the use of force standard in the United States. So instead of in courtrooms asking about a police officer who committed excessive force, asking, well, was that use of force reasonable, which is the standard in many places, instead we should be asking, was it necessary? Changing the system so that, and I know this as a former prosecutor, it's not DA's offices and state's attorney's offices who work with the police department every day who are investigating a police officer from that department who has committed excessive force. It should be an independent investigation, saying that we need to have pattern and practice investigations. When I was Attorney General of California, I initiated pattern and practice investigations against law enforcement agencies. And we need to put teeth in that and have the United States Department of Justice have subpoena power to go into those police departments that don't want to cooperate and get the evidence to deal with what might be a pattern and practice of discrimination. So these are the things that were in the bill that we dropped, but it's not enough. It's certainly not enough.
Because I want to get back to those items.
Yeah.
Every time somebody says Department of Justice right now, all I think is the current Attorney General and the Department of Justice we have.
Right.
So how is it that this Department of Justice is going to be useful? Because
they will not be. You are right. Bill Barr is the hand of Donald Trump. He thinks he's his personal attorney. He has spent full time. I was on to this guy during his confirmation hearing. You are absolutely right. But what if we're trying to look, part of this movement, and it's not just a moment, it's a movement, standing on the shoulders of the movements before. Part of this has to be about changing the system, rehauling the system, upending the system. And so that piece of it, you're right. Under this Attorney General, I have no hope for it being implemented. But God willing, he will be out of that office shortly. And then we need to have a requirement that that office do the right thing going forward.
So then if you're for overhauling, where do you stand on defund the police?
Look, right. So here's the thing, defund the police. The issue behind it is that we need to reimagine how we are creating safety. And when you have many cities that have 1/3 of their entire city budget focused on policing, we know that is not the smart way and the best way or the right way to achieve safety. For too long, the status quo thinking has been you get more safety by putting more cops on the street. Well, that's wrong. Because by the way, if you want to look at upper middle class suburban neighborhoods, they don't have that patrol car. They don't have those police walking those streets. But what they do have, they have well-funded schools. What they do have is home ownership, high home ownership rates. What they do have are thriving small businesses. What they do have is access to public health and mental health services. So this whole movement is about rightly saying, we need to take a look at these budgets and figure out whether it reflects the right priorities. When today in America, 2/3 of our public school teachers are coming out of their own back pocket to help pay for school supplies, when we have for generations now been defunding public schools, but yet militarizing police departments.
That's right.
We need to have this conversation and critically examine and understand this is not working. It's not working. So this is an important conversation, and not just a conversation, because to your earlier point, can't just be about talk. It has to be about forcing change. And this is why, I was out there with folks and well, any movement, any progress we have gained has been because people took to the streets. And that's what we're seeing today. And what gives me a sense of hope is that people who seemingly have nothing in common understand they have this in common and are marching together. So we have to keep up the fight, but we can fight and be optimistic. In fact, some of our best fights have been born out of optimism, right? Born out of knowing what can be, unburdened by what has been. And that's what we have to carry to keep us going, because we don't want this to just be a moment. We do want this to be a movement.
Senator Harris, the talk is that you are a favorite amongst the candidates for Joe Biden's VP. Let's just say, right? It was
hypothetically
you're
speaking.
in, okay? What are your top three? What are your priorities? What are the top three things that you want to tackle directly?
So, Laura, let me just say I'm honored to be a part of this conversation, but the bottom line is I just want the man to win. He has got to win, because we need to say goodbye to Donald Trump. And so
we all agree on that.
I'm focused on today and getting through November. One of the things I'm fighting for is to make sure that I have this thing called the Vote Safe Act, to make sure that people are able to vote in a safe way. So pushing for early voting in states, pushing for curbside voting, so that unlike what happened in Wisconsin, people don't have to wait in line for 2 and 3 hours and then, catch the Rona. These are the things that I'm focused on right now, and what we need to do with this bill in terms of reforming policing. So that's where my head is. Where my head is the fact that 90% of minority and women-owned businesses, small businesses, did not get the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program. So I'm working with Ayanna Pressley and a number of others to say, let's carve out billions of dollars just for our small businesses that have 10 or fewer employees. And the vast majority of Black-owned businesses are just in that category, to get them the relief they need so that we don't lose these businesses that are part of the lifeblood of community. These are the things I'm focused on right now, and that's where my head is.
And sorry, Rosenberg, on that point, and then I'm gonna throw to you, Rosenberg. Who do people speak to when they can't get to y'all? I think that's a fundamental problem, and I'm saying it very layman like that, so that because there are people who I know who applied for the PPP loans, didn't hear anything or didn't get anything, and then where do they go? Who do they speak to?
Well, I know that I've been very clear with my constituents in California, come to my office, and we have been dealing directly with folks. And so every member of Congress, you don't even need to go to your senator, each state has 2, but you go to your congressperson who represents your district, because they all have a liaison with the Small Business Association. They all have the ability to uplift your voice around your needs. But, and so that's what we would do. My office, we got a call from, for example, this lady who has a beauty salon, and she's trying to apply for the PPP. And she said, look, they want to know, they want me to give them a list of my vendors. She said, but I just go to the beauty supply store to get my stuff. Right? And so we gave her assistance with that. And that's what's supposed to happen. Your member of Congress is supposed to help you with those things. So that's where you should go.
Got it.
Senator Harris, as Laura mentioned, you're obviously being talked about potentially for VP, and I really enjoyed your candidacy and was bummed when it came to an end. And I think you and Joe Biden are the most formidable ticket available. Should that happen, though, especially in the times we're in now, people are going to come at you guys as a ticket, Biden because of the 94 crime bill, and you because of your time as Attorney General of California and the tough sentences on weed offenses and things of that nature. I know it's been brought up to you in the debates and it's come up before, but we're in a different time now. Should that be the thing that people really hang on about why they don't want Kamala Harris? What would be your response to that?
Look, again, I'm going to go back to the conversation we just had with Laura. I want Joe Biden to win, but here's the thing that we, in terms of the heart of your point, we need to judge people based on their records, and we need to judge them based on what they are prepared to do now and going forward. And now going forward, we need to do what we need to pass our Justice and Policing Act. Maybe not Donald Trump will sign it, Joe Biden would sign it, which is about saying there needs to be accountability and consequence for police who break the rules and break the law. We need to have somebody who is in the White House who's not trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act that brought healthcare to 30 million people, also known as Obamacare. Donald Trump's got Bill Barr, back to the point of that AG, in the Supreme Court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act in the midst of a pandemic, a public health crisis. We need someone in the White House who values public education and doesn't have a Secretary of Education like Betsy DeVos that's trying to privatize it instead of putting money into public schools where our children are, and they have these beautiful minds that are not being stimulated because we've been defunding public education. These are the issues that we need to focus on. And
yeah, but Senator
have
Harris,
4 years of Donald Trump. We cannot.
We recognize that, and we recognize that, and we with you.
Yeah.
But what I think moving forward, this is me as I'm a fan of yours. I like you.
We all do.
Thank you.
Politicians these days, your response there tells me that you recognize that your past is baggage for you. And it is tough.
No. I mean, we can start, if you want to relitigate my time in those offices. Look, I was the second Black woman ever elected Attorney General of any state in the country. The first one was elected in the 1990s. When I was there, I opened up for the first time the California Department of Justice, which is the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, its data so that activists and advocates could have access to information they had been begging and clawing to get out. Transparency. I did that and one of the first in the country to do that. I created the first in the country. Implicit bias and procedural justice required training for law enforcement. I created a whole initiative that was about re-entry and what we needed to do to have re-entry initiatives up and down the state so that the formerly incarcerated would have resources to get back on their feet and back into their communities in a productive way. I can go down a list of the things I created. So look, the reality is that and by the way, Black Lives Matter has changed the environment in such a substantial and beautiful way. Their activism has allowed people who are inside the system who want to change it to not be alone in trying to change it.
I'm glad you brought that up.
That's great.
But that's real. And that's why what's going on.
The reason I say I'm glad
real.
you brought it, the reason I'm saying I'm glad you brought it up is because we've frequently been talking recently about politicians, A, feeling alone, right? And feeling like the community doesn't have their back. B, feeling threatened by police officers and the police mobs that move behind the scenes, where politicians that I know feel like their families may get threatened or be in danger because of the way police abuse their power behind the scenes. And I'm sure you have firsthand account in dealing with police officers and corrupt cops of how they move behind the scenes. So I'm sure it makes you feel very comfortable to know that the community is rallying behind the politicians as you guys go to change and reform policing.
You are right, because here's the thing, Ebro, I was the second in the country ever elected Attorney General. So what does that tell you? And that was 10 years ago, which is not a long time ago, but
I'm sure you had a litany of people calling you all types of N-words and people and making veiled threats.
What are you talking about in terms of these things? So when you but I speak about this not to speak about myself, but to speak about the importance. To your point, we're having the same conversation about the activism and the leaders who have forced people to understand from the outside the change that needs to happen on the inside, so that people who are on the inside can actually have more leverage against so many obstacles and status quo within that system that does want to see no change. And this is why, again, I'm hopeful about our ability to move forward and reform some of these systems. It is not happening quickly enough, but it is happening. And we need to have healthy skepticism and all of that. But let us also see the progress that we are making, delayed though it is, and incomplete though it certainly is.
That is Senator Kamala Harris. Thank you for your time today. We hope to have you back on the program several times before this, so we could go in and continue to peel back these layers, because I think we are fortunately living in a moment in time where everyone is focused because there are no distractions. There's no sports. There's no concerts. There's nowhere to go. So everybody has to deal with this right on the front lines, right in the forefront. And they're going to try to expedite the distractions coming back. Basketball's coming back. Everything to make the society gloss over and numb and blind, they're going to bring those things back so they can continue to do this corruption and these activities behind the scenes.
And let me just add to that, Ebro, you couldn't be more right. And see, so there is that about just also all of the eyes that could not deny the vivid display of a murder of George Floyd. But also what we have to see is that this is that moment where no longer can America turn a blind eye to what it doesn't want to deal with, because it's right in their face. And again, when we talk about what might be different about this moment than Rodney King or Emmett Till, I think that is part of it, to your point. America can no longer, those who don't want to deal with it can't deny it because it's in their face.
Kamala Harris, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you for your time. I want to see you again.
Take care. All right, I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Wake up, New York.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Ebro in the morning.
With Laura Stiles and Rosenberg. You dig?
Hot 97.
Don't rush, slow touch, brown and white. Like I go country, grab and buy. We can go bust, eye for eye. We can lose trust. White rum, easy pop. Where you they go, we they go up. Catch my vibe, let me go off. Blam the trash, man, it's so tough.
Alright, yo, put the belly on the and make a catch. See no watch, now she wanna give. Boy got peas, now she hopping in the pod. Man, a real life sugar gal, I might forget what. When she want dark, told her meet me at the top. Switching lanes the other day, I seen her waiting for a bus. Maybe this a Moncler sweater, diesel denim. Buy another one, my pockets fight like heather. Neck froze like I don't know no better. Benzo truck, white seats, and they.
I was cool with it for I know we're still on YouTube, but I was cool with it for live mid-show being the amount of time we hit. It was enough for a real conversation. I'd like it to be longer if we had it after the show.
Yeah, I think we would be longer if we had her, if we were able to get her earlier.
Because they got
that too.
Pulling her out, but whatever.
You tried to dance around your question at first, Pete.
Yeah.
But then you pinned the
Ebro pushed it back.
A lot of them, but
Ebro has the right attitude about it. We know that it exists. There's no need to run from it. It's
right.
And the way that she then explained it, when she focuses on what it was like for her at that time and how difficult it was, you get it. There's a way to have the conversation without completely avoiding it.
To talk about it too. Just say it.
Kamala Wagwan. I was gonna let Shawnee hit her with the patois.
Yo,
they're Jamaican, or her father's Jamaican.
Her pop's Jamaican?
Yeah.
Have some. Her
pops is a Jamaican, like one of those bourgeoisie black Jamaican niggas.
Okay.
He's like a Stanford professor.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Make sure everything is pristine, and you must get your education, Kamala. Go to school. You know this country only understands
she got
that
a
piece
Jamaican
of
dad
paper.
and an Indian mom. The school was Paramount.
A word?
Paramount Indian.
She had
Born in Oakland.
She had to go to school, get as many degrees as possible. Respect. I mean, she always seemed strong. I respect it. She smiled every time you said she was a potential for vice president. She's like,
you like how that
I
sounds?
heard her to answer.
You doing flashing lights or not? Or you want to just rap?
You want to do a short? Laura?
Yeah, we can. We're gonna do a quick one.
Call now, get money. $500 helping hand. Yo, shout out to the people hitting us on Twitter, following Ebro in the morning, saying that they love the conversation we briefly had with Kamala Harris. I wish we had more time. You know me, I wanted to get her to say there are white supremacists operating in our police departments. That's where I'm about to go next.
So is this the game we're playing? When can Ebro get a mainstream politician to say that?
Well,
No, I'm down for the game.
Yes. You already got.
Could we do a pool though? Like we should all be able to put in money on this.
You already got the police commissioner to say yes. So
Well,
he
kind of
say yes.
danced. I had to work him into.
He agreed that racism exists
everywhere.
But at the end, he was like, "But that yes to your answer, yes to your question, yes."
And I think Kamala would have been like, "Hell yeah!"
There's no and for the record, and it's a tough spot for her to say. If she was to say on the show, absolutely, there are white supremacists in police departments. It could change everything. I mean, in a good way for us. I hear what you're saying, and she would also be out as VP.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, because as much as we want these politicians to be daring,
gotta say. But see, this is the crux of why it needs to be said.
You're right.
Politics.
That game right there is what's gonna impede our progress.
100%.
Playing that game is the fail. Call it out and call it the F out.
Nope. They're not going to do it.
And then do it again.
Fire. You're not.
Did you guys see Mike Tyson posted a picture of him kneeling?
Oh, I didn't see Mike posted a Neil picture.
There you go, Mike.
Why is that news? I love Mike. He's my boy. Why is that news?
Well, no, because people were saying that I wonder if Trump is going to have any comments. You know, him and Trump are friends.
No, that's the most overstated thing. Mike at first was really hesitant to come out and diss Trump, I think, at the beginning. A, because he doesn't follow politics or care at all. And B, because he made a lot of money with Donald Trump. A lot of money. And I think at first he just sort of.
Well, yeah, because Trump had the Taj Mahal down there in Atlantic City, right?
He had Boardwalk Hall. He had a bunch of Trump Plaza. There was a lot of stuff down there. So I know how Mike feels. But by the way, you brought us thinking about something else, too. You just mentioned about how that's part of the problem. Yesterday, I was thinking about how I've been saying this to you guys on the show for 2 years about how my building that I live in is emblematic of the problems of so-called liberal whites and Jews in New York.
Talk to him.
That no black people live in my building. And it literally took me a while before I realized, you have to live in a place for a while. There's 600 units here. Before I realized, I'm like, I don't think I literally ever see a black person here who's not working. So I sent a text message yesterday to a real estate guy to be like, who's in the building? How do I start having conversations about how we prioritize getting black people to live in this building? And the fact of the matter is, I was talking to my friend Allison from DC yesterday, and she was talking about all her liberal friends who all are now, they're all posting stuff and they're saying Black Lives Matter. But how do they feel about it when the conversations come up about their kids getting bused? So now we want to equalize schools more. We're going to do more. That's the point when people then freak out and go, whoa. I'm for doing everything.
Except
not my kids.
I mean, you saw how they came for the Chancellor Carranza when he
exactly
and the school system up.
And if you're not willing to make sacrifices in terms of moving your kids to a place that you didn't think they were going to be, and making an effort to get people to live in the place where you live, if you're not willing to do those things, what are we really doing? If we always come to that point of you come up to the line and then go, well, I don't want to rock the boat.
I don't want to break it down and burn it up.
Then it's the same thing.
And there's another side to it too, Rosenberg, with regard to what you brought about about living space. You're assuming that Black folks want to live in your building. I'm not saying that they don't or couldn't. I'm just saying often Black folks look around, because I'm one of them. I don't want to live.
You don't want to be the only in an all-white building.
No, I need that. If I don't see diversity, I don't want to live next to you.
But that's my point. But that's why you have to. That's why if you're
I got a question. And that's any brown or Black. If I don't see some diversity, I'm not Asian. I need to see Asians. I need to see Indians. I need to see Black folks. I need to see Spanish in close proximity, because that tells me, all right, we're working on being diverse. Not that it's perfect.
But that's what I'm saying. So if you're the building, though, and you don't ever make a concerted effort to go get people, because to your point, Ebro, you're right. What Black people are going to be really being like, I'm going to, because it's an expensive building, I'm going to drop $1 million. I'm going to do whatever it takes to go live in this building. Who's doing that if they see nobody of color in the building? The buildings have to be willing to go out and make efforts to integrate. They can't just sit there and think it's going to get better. Oh, we're open to it. No one's going to come. It's too white. So I would like to see efforts like that. My whole neighborhood, the Upper West Side, is just, I mean, it's somewhat integrated, but in some ways it's really not.
And by the way, that same conversation y'all just heard is actually happening at the biggest companies in the world right now. I'm personally a part of it. And, you know, I've had to tell white executives, what makes you think that a Black executive wants to work with you or for you?
Right. And be the first Black guy to come in and have that job.
And potentially be a cultural outsider. The only one, like when we just talked to Kamala.
Yep.
The only one who's pushing an agenda and not quite sure who's got their back and what's going on. And not only that, potentially set up for failure. Because you get in there and you rock the boat, and we need to be doing this and we need to be doing that. Next thing you know, you can't get anything across the line. Next thing you know, your contract's up. Next thing you know, they're not renewing your contract. All because you was trying to bring diversity and be progressive. So a lot of times in the past, and this is great to know for y'all young people out here listening, a lot of times in the past, people would get in positions and they would move very carefully. Right? Being able to get things across the line because they don't want to be the only one and then caught out there by themselves. Right now, people in powerful positions are seeing, oh, wait, the community's ready now. They got my back now. Social media got my back now. I'm not out here by myself. And I encourage all of y'all to keep this same energy, because that's what it's going to take, is for people in powerful positions to know that y'all got their back. And not in a way of like, you know, you're going to be able to pay their bills when they get fired, because nobody expects that. But in a way of like, when they say, hey, we need to move in this direction to get X, Y, and Z done, people are ready to move.
We got to wrap, guys. That's your Flash and Lights report. Time is 8:58, high of 89 degrees. Alternate parking rules are suspended.
It's beautiful outside. Mask on. Go for a drive if you're able. Get out early right now where there's not a lot of people out, because you can get outside right now. There's not a lot of people outside in the city, and you can literally get a good walk on without bumping into anybody.
Facts.
It's hot 9-7.
Hi.
Yo, Rosenberg.
You know we're still on live, Laura.
Okay.
Yo, y'all so corny, man. Say what you gonna say.
Yeah, say what you're gonna
man.
say. Yo, Shawnee, how much time we got?
In the
Yo, man, those
KKK
are
in the
people,
system.
Shawnee,
Talk to them, man.
Okay.
how much time we got, Shawnee?
I appreciate that reminder, Rosenberg.
I just know Laura's voice.
Yeah,
You
know
knew
the song.
what was
You know
ever
the
was
song.
next was some bochinch, whatever it was.
Yeah, you know the
Yo,
Hey, Rose.
can you hear me?
Yo,
Yes, Cass, we hear you.
So
He hear,
Yo, what
Shawnee,
up?
you hear
Yeah,
Cass?
Does he just ignore me or he hear me?
He ignores you.
Okay, I'm just
Who?
wondering. You
I just heard you say my name just now.
never heard me the whole other time that I was talking?
Oh, go ahead. Nah, I heard you coming through the clean feed.
Oh no, I just want to know how much time we have.
You have time as 2 stop sets. So
All right. There's some
you got a good maybe 12 minutes.
crazy-ish going on out here.
You know what I'm saying?
kind of wild right now. Man.
Yes, Rasan.
Say peace to YouTube. Peace.
Yo, peace, YouTube.
Yo, what's up, YouTube?
Yo, what's up?
Yo, Bono, what's popping?
Yeah, man.
Hope y'all enjoyed Kamala. I thought she was good.